Hey, North Point, I want us to think, how do we know if Jesus is really taking hold in our life? So when I was a junior in high school, I moved from suburban Chicago to suburban Houston, and I told my friends, I'll never be a Texan. I'll never be one of them. 2 years later, I went back to visit. So I'd completed my senior year in high school and my first year of college at Texas A&M. And again, we had the school agriculture, so we get a lot of small town Texas kids in. I roomed with them in the dorms with them. Set all that as a backdrop. I go to visit these friends in Chicago, and immediately it's kind of, whoa, wait a minute. What's happened to you? What do you mean, what's happened to me? They said, we're hearing some words that aren't spoken up here. Yeah, like what? Like y'all and like fixin'. Those words are everywhere in Southern culture. You all, a group, is y'all. I'm getting ready to do something. I'm fixing to do it. You never hear that in suburban Chicago. What had happened? Texas culture had taken hold, and language is reflexive. It gets in there, and whatever's in there just comes out. Well, I want to suggest to you, when Jesus takes hold, there's some things that they just come out. And a couple of those things are made known in the letter 3 John. John is writing to a church, and he's writing to Gaius. And he says to this church, you guys have done an outstanding job caring for itinerant missionaries. They come, and at great cost, you take them in, you clothe them, you house them, then you send them on their way with what they need. You are taking care of physical needs. And that's one of the things that just ought to flow out of us. If Jesus is really taking hold, this one who died for us, of course we'd meet physical needs. There's a second thing that ought to take hold, and we see it kind of in a negative light. The second part of the letter, John criticizes and even confronts a guy named Diotrephes. And Diotrephes wants to be first. He's rejecting John. He's rejecting anybody who would house one of these itinerant teachers. Why? Because he doesn't want to submit to authority. Here's the second thing that ought to flow out of us. A willingness to submit to authority. Why? Because we serve a Savior who willingly submitted to Roman authority to give up his life that he might purchase our salvation. Why wouldn't we follow him in that? So just like the words y'all and fixin' flowed out of me without me even knowing it, there's a couple things we see in the letter of 3 John that ought to flow out of us. A willingness to meet physical needs and a willingness to submit to authority. It's time for us to take a look. Has Jesus really taken hold in our life? If it's true, we'll see these characteristics: meeting physical needs and submitting to authority.